Hello and welcome to the Flexline Media Middle 7 final round coverage of the 25th The Helicopter Line Queenstown Classic. Our coverage is sponsored by Smith's Craft Beer House, with additional sponsorship thanks to the Queenstown Disc Golf Club, Enza DSS and Small Planet Disc Sports. My name is Chris and I'm joined by Philip Botha.
Glad to see you back here on the middle 7. Let's see how we go.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good start by our lead card.
Pretty neck and neck here between Hemi and Mikey here.
Yeah, we've got some weather coming in, which the players will need to be wary of, but I'm sure they'll do all right through the forest here, entering the middle stages of the round. Here we have our final lead card through 9 holes. Hemi maintaining his lead at 42 under par for the tournament. Unfortunately, missing a few easy putts, only on 4 down for the front 9.
Mikey, you again playing just as solid there, also shooting 4 down there on the front 9. I myself managed to push up to 3rd position, catching up there with Neg 2 and Paul Child at +1.
Hole 10, par 3, only 50 metres, but it's a fairly tricky fairway. You really got to hit your line through the middle of this these trees here.
And lots of guardian trees here with inside the circle. Really trying to get lucky and just hit one of those gaps, really.
Yeah, probably a turnover would be a fairly common throw. Just making it work its way down the fairway and settle down into the very guarded green, and that's exactly what Hemi does.
Interesting to see how much height he gave that one, though. Good turn out at the end there.
Mikey opting for the forehand, trying to penetrate through this wind.
Perfect.
Yep.
That's really well played for the amount of wind we're getting on this hole.
Was it a straight headwind?
Straight headwind, again trying to replicate those shots again with the left-hand backhand.
Unfortunately catching an early tree.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it may not look too windy on the vision, but I was almost getting blown over standing behind the basket here. It was very strong.
Yeah.
Great up there by Paul.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Finding the gap there behind the basket there. Again, just trying to pitch this up nice and close, take my par.
But finding a root.
Bit of an early release
stump,
there.
yeah.
I know I myself was quite intimidated here by the wind, just trying to get as close as possible without giving it too much height, because really anything can happen there as soon as it's up in the air.
And just missing that par putt, but it's all right. Getting close to the basket is almost a win in itself when you're facing with these kind of conditions.
What a putt by Hemi. That was easily just outside the circle there.
And considering the wind, he's really settled in, got his putting mojo back, which is good to see. He'll be feeling great heading into the middle 7 with that.
Really emphasizing just how good his putting game is. Yeah, shooting double digits under through 3 rounds.
And you might be able to see here on the vision some rain, but it's actually sleet. It started sleeting as these players were putting out this hole.
Good birdie there by Paul. Strong side in the basket.
And here's you for the bogey.
And 7 meters out.
Yeah.
Happy to cash that one in. So really losing out my par for the bad approach shot.
Hole 11, par 3, 73 metres. On the longer side of a forest fairway here. Not too difficult to negotiate. It's a fairly wide open fairway, but you just really just have to pick the line.
And nice and easy going. Right hand turnover or left hand backhand. Going straight down this fairway here.
This will be part and parcel for Hemi.
Keeping it low. Getting some good ground play there. Putting it easily inside the bullseye.
Perfect. And we get another replay for Hemi. Thanks to Deep Creek for sponsoring our replays here. Just threading the fairway.
What a shot.
Right up the middle.
Definitely making his putting a bit easier there.
It'd be so easy just to get a freak tree hit or an errant bounce and just end up in somewhere that you do not want to be.
Mikey, you there getting a bit of a late kick, but still put himself in position to lay up for the easy par.
Paul looking for the turnover. Let's put a bit of angle on it, and that's floating very nicely. Got a bit of flex and just catching an early tree, well, a late tree, but kicking out into the main part of the fairway.
Man, that shot's been working well for him in previous rounds, having parked at the round 3. I myself here taking a G-style Mako 3, really trying to get that turnover, but releasing it a bit early and really catching those trees there, making for quite a tricky approach shot.
Yeah, you've kicked off into the land that you really don't want to be in, because this is what you're faced with.
Man, trying to attack it with my gator, still feeling that wind.
And you've managed to thread a really nice line.
And I was very happy to have put that inside the bullseye.
Sorry I missed the catch cam on that one, but I can tell you what, it looked beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Mikey, making short work of that approach. These plays here really showing you how you can thread your way through these trees, but I tell you what, it's not as easy as it looks.
What a putt by Paul. Edge of the circle, dead straight, just keeping it nice and low, not having the wind catch it too much.
He's got a bit of flutter on his putt, but manages to just sneak over the rim. Well done there, Paul.
Hit me here. Also just cleaning up that birdie. Man, what a drive. Really just showing how easy this whole play is for those left-hand players.
So far we've seen some good scores. Unfortunately, you with the lone bogey, but wow, this lead card really showing us how it's done.
Mikey, you, again, not taking any risks here. Just dropping in the basket.
Hole 12, par 3, 70 metres. Slightly different to the original version of this hole that was in the gardens. The tee's been moved to the left, so it's a slightly different avenue, but it's right in front of you. Just got to thread the gap and hold up, because there is a fairly steep slope just behind the basket.
Hear me here, leaning towards the backhand shot here, just straight down the middle. Again, being wary of that rock, because it does come into play. They're looking a lot higher than it actually does.
Unfortunate tree kick. Bouncing back into the fairway though, so that's alright.
Definitely not as far as you wanted that to be.
No, still got a bit to chew off. Paul also keeping it low, very similar. I think he's ended up in the fairway to the right. Sorry,
that rock was definitely playing on a few of our minds here. I myself was quite wary of this wind.
Mikey straight up the guts with the forehand, but kicks off to the left. Really fortunate roll here, actually.
It put him right in the open gap for a nice, easy approach shot.
Definitely, and also probably chewed up an extra 20 metres or so.
And after seeing those drives, I was very wary of going through that straight gap, so I did actually lean towards the right side there.
And it looks like you just kick off the outside of that tree, but
getting a very fortunate...
Very friendly. Hyzering in.
Putting the edge of the
Nestling up
circle.
nicely. Paul's got a forehand approach. He's got to be really careful with his speed control, because you don't want to go too long.
Ooh.
Yeah, just skipping off that ground a little bit faster than he expected, and he's got a very long upshot.
Hear me here. Looks to be controlling his speed quite nicely.
Yeah, probably saw Paul's shot and thought, I'm just going to hyzer that nicely.
Good correction.
Also, thanks for Smiths for sponsoring this coverage. Mikey putting a bit of heat on his upshot, almost running it. Got the pig there. Nice and trusty upshot approach disc.
I myself, yeah, only 7 meters out, but pretty daunting tailwind. Try and make this putt.
Just a touch low. Great line though, catching metal.
Man, really wanting that one after taking a bogey and a par to start this middle 7.
Yep. Oh, Paul drawing metal.
Man, what an upshot.
Yeah, from the blind approach. Wow, that would have been a highlight.
Hear me tapping up his par there. Nice and easy, no extra strokes gained. 1 stroke over Mikey U here.
Not a problem for Mikey. Paul, just a little bit left to go.
6 meters out here.
Not a problem.
Taking his bogey. So I could tell they definitely wasn't happy with that.
No, he's been playing quite well. Hole 13, par 3, 40 metres. This played as an island hole.
And pretty close island there. I believe inside, but circle's edge.
Yep, so you really had to dial in your landing zone, make sure not to skip too long or come up too short. Quite a tricky hole, to be honest. Suited the left-handers a lot better.
Definitely much more daunting now with this wind picking up.
Yep.
Hemi here giving some good height.
Yep, able to just nurse it very nicely down within the island.
Mikey Yu here leaning towards the peg. Definitely one of his go-to forehand discs when it comes to these kind of distance.
And just straight up the middle gap. It's a little bit of an anti-skip and just, wow.
And you could not be any closer unless you aced it.
Determination in his eyes. He's got such a great flick action.
Man, definitely one of the best forehand players on tour. As you can see with that shot.
Almost anti-skipped it into the basket.
Man, any higher,
Yeah, wow.
anything would have been possible.
And yourself, opting for the backhand?
Man, seeing forehand shots, felt a lot more comfortable just throwing some nice turnover.
And just coming up a little bit short, out of bounds unfortunately.
Past 3 rounds, it got me nice and close there, taking easy birdies, but again with this wind, didn't on my mind.
So the island here played as a hazard, so anything outside of the bounds was just played from its lie, taking a hazard stroke.
Was it just me or did Paul sneak through that disc wide gap there on that drive?
Unlucky. Great save.
Man, I was very happy to have taken that par. I mean, so having landed outside the circle there, definitely wasn't too happy.
And you can definitely hear the wind, so it was a big factor on these holes that were on the edge of the forest. Paul lofting it up, knew that it wasn't going in the basket as soon as it left his hand, unfortunately.
Bit wide right there.
Yeah. But Hammy taking his birdie.
That's 2 strokes gained on Mikey here.
Paul taking his time, making sure to not make any mistakes. Unfortunately, another bogey, so not making his round too much better.
Definitely struggling here with his drives, and I think the wind's definitely playing on his mind coming into this middle 7.
But Mikey with fantastic birdie. Doesn't get much easier than that. Massive thanks to the Helicopter Line for sponsoring the event. Hole 14, the dream hole. Basket right on the edge of Lake Wakatipu. Need to thread your drive straight down the avenue of trees. It's not too easy.
Now, players do need to be wary. That lake is only 5 meters behind the basket there, so again, having to control this drive. Pretty narrow fairway there with trees on both sides.
Hemi controls his drive perfectly, just keeping it low, skipping up, using the ground, because if it's on the ground, it's not going in the lake. Or at least you would hope so.
Mikey again leaning towards the forehand of the peg. Good fortunate skip there, putting him inside circle's edge. Just seeing Mikey's drive. So I haven't really been shown what to throw in this hole, so I thought I'd give it a shot.
Oh, bit of a shank. Just hitting that early tree and kicking out to the right.
Even asking Mikey this, after seeing his forehand for some advice here after the round. Definitely something I'll have to work on.
What did he say?
Well, he didn't agree, but he didn't disagree either, so the table's open there.
Paul going for the backhand. Taking his time, doesn't want to give up another stroke. It's
looking good.
Drifting left a little bit.
Again, that
He'll have a look.
That hill catching a few shots there as well, so if you can keep it low, the hill's definitely caught a few and stopped it from skipping into the water there.
Well, all players managing to stay out of the lake on their drives. You've got a bit of an upshot, just getting a nice roll, but still a little bit short.
Solid 50-meter skip there.
Yeah.
So getting the spin and the combination of the wind there's definitely put me a bit closer. So still about circle's edge here with the wind. Trying to save my par here after really taking a bogey on hole 10.
And you can see how much it's blowing on that flag. And yeah, just probably playing in your mind a little bit, I'd guess.
Yeah, man, hitting a bit low. So it's very risky trying to run that putt for par, having the lake just so close behind the basket.
And beautiful birdie from Hemi.
Man, what a putt. It's definitely getting his mojo back here off that front 9, having missed those 2 easy holes.
Oh, slightly awkward looking birdie.
Left
from
side,
Paul.
that caught.
But stuck it.
You can just see that flag ripping in the wind.
Absolutely roaring. But fortunately, Mikey's close enough that can stab it in there. No harm done.
Keeping up with Hemi.
Yep. Dropping in your bogey, unfortunately.
Man, not very happy to have taken another bogey there. But I said it is what it is.
Hole 15, par 3, 70 metres. Dog leg to the right, so definitely favouring the left-handers or the players with a strong forehand game. Just picking an overstable disc and getting it up there.
Got to be careful not to hit those trees on the right. This can very quickly put you into jail there, making the approach shot very difficult. Also to mention, there is an OB area on the left there called Brad Pitt.
No one wants to end up in the Brad Pitt. Hemi staying well clear of it. Taking the slightly wider fairway route, and he'll have an open look between those two trees, straight down to the basket. Perfect shot.
Good ground play there. Mikey here, leaning towards the forehand. I believe this was his Rock X3.
And there's definitely not a problem throwing it nice straight, keeping it a bit longer than you expect.
Yeah, no,
and then having it fade into the green.
Nice and close there.
You really don't want to hyzer out too early because you'll end up in jail.
So Hole definitely playing a bit easier for those forehand shots. Having being such a tight dogleg right there.
Paul staying clear of everything, ending up long of the basket.
I myself here leaning towards the left hand here with the Glow Rock X3.
With the left hand.
Keep it nice and wide, get some good height.
Not something you see every day, but you're one of the few disc golfers here who've mastered the left hand for some certain select drives.
You're right there. I'm an ambidextrous player. I say leaning towards my left hand for these kind of holes, but still just as confident there with my right hand turnovers.
Keeping it very high.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but is this the second ambidextrous player you've covered?
It is, yes. Ethan Stout from Invercargill in our Wanaka coverage uses both hands, which is interesting to see.
Or here, outside circle 1. Possible birdie opportunity here. Giving it a bid.
Yeah. From outside circle, so it did drift further back than it looked. Hemi looking for another birdie. And wow, he's really putting a move on the card in this middle 7.
And really not giving Mikey any opportunities to catch up without putting in some good effort.
Definitely. Mikey keeping up though.
Good birdie. Paul here. Taking out his putt here for par. I'm sure he's not very happy taking a par on such an easy hole. Not myself. Tapping in a birdie. Happy to have gotten that one at least. Taking the CTP.
Hole 16, par 3, 63 metres. Another forest fairway. Just got to avoid this tree right in front of the basket, but fairly standard. Just get it up there.
Relatively easy straight to turnover shot here with the right hand. Again for Hemi, just going to play the left hand shot there, straight down the middle, having it finish right.
Nice to see raised basket. It's always good to see some variation in basket placements. This is one of the newer holes on the redesigned Gardens course. And wow, Hemi showing us how it's done.
And that log there definitely saving his drive from skipping any further than it could have.
Mikey opting for the forehand, like he does for most of these right-hand turning fairways. Skipping a little bit far, but definitely within range for a nice putt.
I'm here throwing my Yeti Pravia. Really not trying to turn over too much, but
yeah, just catching a tree and kicking out to the right. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of leaves and trees, and
it's going to be a very guided approach shot there.
Yeah,
I'll see what I can do.
Paul trying to get this turned over. Looked like a putter, but just catching a tree and
very fortunate tree kick there.
Touch short.
And I myself had a very tight gap here to kind of lay it up to the basket. Definitely out of position here to take the 2.
So yeah, just pitching up. Not a problem there. That'd be a nice tap in.
It almost feels as the wind has died down a bit here leading into the last couple of holes.
Yeah, it was definitely swirly. By this stage, the little cell that hit us on hole 9 had passed through. So calmer conditions. Hopefully we'll see it translate. Oh,
Man, Paul almost making that long putt there.
yeah, wow. Off the top of the cage.
Mikey here, about 8 meters out for birdie.
And he'll know that he needs to make this to keep up with Hemi. Nice.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Strong side in the pass.
Yep.
Yeah, good birdie.
Kept it nice and high, knowing that the wind is going to affect it a bit less than it has been, so able to, would you probably say that's his traditional putt?
Yeah, again,
Keeping it
strong
nice and high.
side, bit of
Yep.
hyzer. Paul there, tapping out for par. Definitely not happy taking 2 pars in a row here. Again, relatively short holes. Really, these are some gimmies you want to be taking,
Definitely.
especially coming into the back 9.
And Hemi picking up an excellent birdie right below the basket, and you cleaning up your par.
Yeah.
Not much you can do from that position, and that is the middle 7 done and dusted. Boy, faced some pretty horrific weather through the middle of that, but it's cleared up now, and we can move on to the back 9. Here we take a look at the Smiths leaderboard through 16 holes. Hemi maintaining his lead over Mikey. He's up 8 strokes.
And Takashi, surprise card there, jumping up multiple places to tied 30 at 5 down for the round.
Tying with Paul there, and we've got Phil, unfortunately, dropping down to 5th. Bit of a rough middle 7 there.
Yeah, man, I say you need to take these easy birdies on these first 16 holes, as the back 9 does play quite hard.
Definitely, and these are 2 characters that we're going to come across during the back 9. Hope to see you there.
Catch you guys there.